I've been working with Char Griller for a few months now. I did a few collaborations with him on the Char-Griller Gravity 980, and I said, you know what? I need an offset smoker. I want a live fire manual control, and you know what? We worked out something awesome, and I got myself one of the Grand Champs. I think that if you're really truly into smoking, pellet grills are great. So are the Gravity charcoal grills. They're great too, but if you want that true experience of managing a fire, then an offset is the way to go. Now, we all know that some of those grills and smokers, they're thousands of dollars. I mean, you've seen the Lang, you've seen the Lone Star grills. You don't know if you're really into it until you know. I mean, obviously I caught the bug, but I think this is a great place to begin for someone, because these are about 500 bucks. They're big, they're manual control, so you're gonna be adjusting the air and the exhaust to manage that temperature in the fire. It's gonna be a good opportunity to really learn how to cook on a live fire. So that's why we've got it here today. So as I'm a beginner, I'm gonna help you as in your beginner stages too. So let's go ahead and get this thing unboxed, and we're gonna get this thing put together. Now, the one thing before we get started that I want to say here, this is a heavy grill. I combined, these boxes are almost 300 pounds. So you're gonna need a buddy for this assembly, that's for sure. So it comes in two boxes. Box number 2 is a side fire box. So this is where you're gonna be managing your fire when you're running it as an offset smoker. And then you've got the whole grill body essentially in this box. So we're gonna get these unpackaged. It's nice to know that they're labeled. We know what's where, at least in terms of the grill. But let's get at it. Now with most of these grills, they basically have a lid. One of the biggest suggestions that I can make is flip that over, use this as your trash receptacle. You can throw all your styrofoam, your cardboard, your plastic bags, that way they don't go blowing around. That's what I'm doing. Assembly instructions right on top. All right, so we've got this thing unpacked. Let's go ahead, open up those assembly instructions, see what we gotta do. So we just unpacked everything. This box here has got all your hardware, nuts and bolts, everything you're gonna need for the assembly here. It was actually in that side firebox inside of it, so you will have to unpackage that to get all the hardware out. Now we're on to step 1 and 2, and both of those steps are mounting the legs. I'll show you a diagram here. It shows all the hardware needed. Let's get the legs on. So we're gonna put the legs on. We've got the back legs. This is number 20. They've got 3 holes, so it's kind of hard to screw this up when you're putting it on. I've already got my bolts with my locking washers preloaded on here. I also have a nut driver with a 7/16 socket on the end. That way we can just speed this up even more. This is a back leg, like we said. 20 is going to go towards the smokestack exit there, just like so. I'm just gonna get these started by hand. That way I don't strip anything out as I drive it in with my impact. Some of these, because of the angle, I will still have to use a screwdriver, but I will use my impact whenever I get the opportunity. Now I can already tell you that this is a heavy duty grill. For the price, you're getting a great deal. So we've got 18 and 21. This is going to be by the firebox side. This is gonna be by the smokestack side. The other leg with the axle on it goes down by the firebox side. All right, so we're on to the next step, and that's installing that lower shelf. This is for you to store some things or set your bag of charcoal or whatever you want down there. Maybe take a nap while you're in between spritzes. But we've got 4 C's with some locking washers labeled E. I'm gonna get these on by hand, and then I will tighten it up with my impact. Oh, man, just another heavy duty part here. I'm just slipping my toe underneath it so that I can keep it kind of at the right height. Now in the assembly instructions, they show it basically laying on its back. I didn't want to do that because it's a round chamber. It's going to roll around, and as we add more weight to it, the last thing that I want this thing to do is to tip over and get scratched up. So I found it easiest to just set it on its side, the firebox side, because it's nice and flat, and it allows us to work without bending over or worrying about tipping it or swinging that lid into the concrete. So the next step is to get the wheels on. Now the way I've got this thing oriented, I'm gonna need to tip it just a little bit this way, so I'm gonna have my cameraman help while I install the washer and the pins. You can actually set it down. And then I just use a washer and a pin to lock those wheels on in place. Got my washer and my pin. So we've done all of the undercarriage work. So we got the legs on, we got the shelf, we got the wheels. Now it's time to stand this up. Use the buddy system. This thing is heavy. The last thing you would want to do is dump it in the driveway. So I'm gonna have my cameraman come help me, and we're just gonna tip this and get it stood up straight. All right. We're gonna combine a couple steps while we're in here. We've got the handle part number 8. We've got the thermometer. We've got 2 B's and 2 D's. We're gonna get the handle on this door along with this thermometer. Just wanna open this up. I'm gonna start one of these bolts here. So we got the thermometer here. It's got a wing nut and a washer on the back. Those go on the inside of the lid. This screws in through the top. Just like so. Now you want to make sure that that's straight and square so that you don't have to tilt your head to read it. So we got this big heavy duty handle because this hunking thing, you're gonna have to move it around a little bit. So we got 4 B's and the handle. I'm gonna get them started by hand. Then I'm gonna hit them with my impact. If you see this grill in the background at all, doing some pork belly burn ends, I'll put a link in the description above. A lot of times when we film, we're filming 2 and 3 things at a time. It makes it a lot easier scheduling wise. So it's a nice day. We're putting the Char Griller Grand Champ together, and we're gonna have some pork belly burn ends when we're done. For that next step, get your periscope, I mean your chimney out. It calls for a B bolt. It's already actually attached. So you're gonna slide this in, and you're going to line this up and get this thing tightened down. All right, so we've got the support bracket for the firebox. Now I did skip a step. They want you to put the handle on the firebox. I'm just gonna put it on after I get it attached to the grill. We got 2 C's and 2 E's and this support bracket. You want the tongue facing down, and it's going to attach. Just tighten these up. So this next step, putting the firebox on, you're gonna need another set of hands. So I got my cameraman here, 7 B's and 6 D's. We're gonna get these started so he doesn't have to strain himself. Keep adding those B's and D's, and then we'll tighten them all up at the end. Get in there with your screwdriver and your socket, or your impact like me. Tighten these up. That firebox was a little bit of a challenge getting them holes lined up, and it's mainly because the thing's pretty heavy. Make sure you've got an extra set of hands. It's gonna be really tough to do by yourself. Got this damper here. This is how we're going to be controlling the air to the firebox. We've got a C, 2 F's, an E, and a D. Now this actually mounts from the inside like so, and you're going to thread your C and your F through from the outside. Get that pulled in tight. We're gonna go F, E, which is that locking washer, and a D, and we're gonna tighten that up. Now you wanna make this one just about hand snug, maybe just a tad more, because you wanna be able to move that, like so. We got the locking handle for the firebox. We got a C, 2 Fs, an E, and a D. So we're going to attach this on the outside. It's CF, then another F, then through the door, and then ED. And we're going to snug that up a little bit. And this latch is actually how you're going to lock the door there to the coals. Did a few of the steps out of the order on purpose. Putting the handle on now, there was no need for it to be then where they had it. I wanted to do it once it was attached to the grill. So we've got 2 Bs and 2 Ds. And we'll get these started here, just like so. We've got the ash pans for both the grill and the firebox. I'm gonna set these down in here. And then this one is open the hatch here, and this should slide right in. Just like that. All right, next up we got our smoke shield here. This is gonna attach right above the vent where that firebox attaches to the grill. There's actually just a little ledge, and it's just going to snap down in place like so. It's time to attach the front shelf and the associated hardware. I've got 4 Bs in the 2 brackets that we need. These little nubs here, we want those facing out towards the outside of the grill. So we're gonna thread these Bs through the front here like so. Line up the holes, get them screwed in. And we're gonna do the same on this side. Got 2 of these A's. One is you're gonna thread it through here and you're gonna get it started. This bottom hole. Run it through. And there's your front shelf. I'll take my screwdriver here and just snug that up a little bit. All right. We got the top and bottom grates. Man, these things are hefty. We're gonna go ahead and slide these in. Start with the bottom one. Obviously, you want the handle facing up and at the front. Same thing, handle up and towards the front. Slides in. Got the basket here for the firebox. This is just gonna drop right in on top of that ash pan. And that, my friends, is the Char Griller Grand Champ assembly. This thing is a tank. I mean, look at this thing. It's bigger than my wingspan. Now, granted, I'm about 4'11", so no, I'm kidding. I'm like 5'10", but look how big this thing is. It's huge. In 20 simple but yet physically demanding steps, and really it's not that bad. This thing is a tank and a bit heavy, but as long as you got a second set of hands, you're gonna be all right. But in 20 short steps, you can have your Char Griller Grand Champ assembled and ready to use. But like all grills, it's not quite ready to use. The next step is going to be your burn-in and seasoning of the grates. Now, these come pre-coated with vegetable oil. You will or may have to re-season again later down the road. This thing is put together and I'm excited to share the rest of the story with you this summer. So stick around and I'll see you next time at Anderson Smoke Show.